Aviva Dautch around? Do come down. So we're going to now have a poetry reading by Suhrab Sirat and Aviva Dautch. And I should explain that Exiled Writers Inc. had an Arts Council funded mentoring and translation project recently, and lots of poets applied, and one of those who was selected for one-to-one translation work and having a pamphlet of his work published was Suhrab, and he worked closely with Hamid Kabir, who may be here, and Aviva Dautch. And you can buy the pamphlet outside. It's on the book table, so it's called The Eighth Crossing. So enjoy the poetry reading, and over to you.
Yeah, you can start there.
Do you want me to start?
Yeah.
Introduce it? Okay. So we're going to read from two separate projects of Suhrab's. The first is the pamphlet that Jennifer just talked about, The Eighth Crossing. And I just wanted to add as well to her comment about it being sold outside, that a poet friend of Suhrab's very sadly died, and his family is in quite a lot of hardship. So actually any proceeds from the sale of this is going to support that family. But this booklet describes the journey that Suhrab made as a political refugee fleeing Afghanistan in 2013 to 14, the journeys that he undertook, the journey he undertook across borders, which is why it's called The Eighth Crossing. It's all about border crossings. And finally coming through the Calais jungle to the UK. But what he told me when we were working together was that, and please do add to this, that it wasn't just his story alone, but he was using his voice, and that narrator's eye, and I mean the eye both as in this eye but also as in the first person, to try and capture the experiences of friends and family and people he met along the way. So the eye of this poem it's a wider eye about all the journeys that have been undertaken by people as refugees, although it incorporates a lot of Suhrab's own experience, would you say? Yeah. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read just the first crossing in English, and then Suhrab will read it in Dari. The first crossing. The bone-burning sands of Nimroz melt my tattered boots, borrowed from the feet of a dead soldier. This brutal desert, this godless desert, this fire-breathing dragon, flames blazing from its mouth, like the hell painted in the Quran. Who has his foot on Kabul's throat? Kabul, the city that threw me up like a blood clot. When I was a child, we would see the dead, their eyes wide open, staring at nothing, their arms and legs piled haphazardly like sandbags. Now I carry the burden of all those corpses on my shoulders. The soil tastes of blood, the water smells of crude oil. I walk the rhythmic beat of my journey. The sound of death follows with a screech of a nail scratching glass, and we become a flock of sheep, fugitives from the slaughterhouse, stacked on top of each other. The fear of being shot by the border guard dries in my throat as we pass like a gust of wind through Sistan and Baluchistan.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Aviva, for the introduction. I'm going to read it in its original format in Persian. مرز نخست ریگ های استخوان سوز نیمروز کفش کهنم را که از پای سرباز مرده در آورده بودم ذوب می کند. این بیابان بی خدا، بیابانی که تنها یک اژدهای آتش به دهان از جهنم ترسیم شده در قرآن کم دارد. چه کس پایش را بر گلوی کابل مانده بود که کابل ما را مثل خون لخته تف کرد. کودک که بودم به تماشای مرده ها می رفتیم. چشمهای باز خیره به هیچ، دستها و پاها مثل کیسه های ریگ روی یکدیگر. بار تمام اجساد را که دیدم بر شانه دارم. خاک طعم خون، آب بوی نفت دارد. صدای قدم زدن مرگ مثل خراشیده شدن شیشه با میخ ضربان در ضربان دنبالم می کند. هراس از شلیک مرزبان در حلق من خشک شده است. ما گوسفندان فراری از قربانگاه روی هم افتاده ایم تا با تند باد بگذریم از سیستان و بلوچستان.
So when we worked on the Eighth Crossing, one of the things that I noticed, and you will have just heard in Suhrab's words and the way he read, was the musicality, the rhythms and the rhymes and that forward momentum. And this poem is a narrative poem and it's free verse, but we talked about that music. And I discovered that Suhrab had also written over 100 ghazals. I'm using the very English pronunciation, going in darling ghazal. And one of these, he did a literal word-by-word English translation of. It was actually the material for a competition. And I looked at the kind of literal translation and asked, is there a way in English to capture that music of the ghazal with the rhyme and the refrain? So it's not at all as musical as his Dari version, but this is an attempt in English to have not only the meaning of Suhrab's poem, but also that form that is so important to his writing. So this ghazal is called Woundistan, and you will hear within it that the rhyme and the refrain of the ghazal form. My soul, my shadow, the dreams I stare into the night are wounded. I kiss my mirror self, the lips with which I bite are wounded. I am a year filled with venom, every season is autumn. Leaf-filled evenings, the snaking twilight are wounded. The signs of the stars, my Scorpio, my Libra, Sagittarius pierced by his own arrow's flight, are wounded. The snorting bull on whose proud horns the earth is caught is heartsick. His heart, my heart, breaking at our plight, are wounded. I have no country, no land, not even a room the size of a grave, no sky. Centuries of starlight are wounded. My father gives me food, gave me water, childhood's homework. Beneath dust and blood, the pages are white, are wounded. We are creatures without self, senses numbed by loss, spirits broken. Our passions, sweet appetite, are wounded. Our stories hemorrhage life's pain from start to end. My name, religion, memories, the words I write are wounded.
زخمستان. روحم، نگاهم، سایم، خوابم، شبم زخمی است. روحم، نگاهم، سایه‌ام، خوابم، شبم زخمی است. بوسیدم خود را در آیینه، لبم زخمی است. پاییز شد هر فصل من، سال پر از زهرم. میزان و قوسم تیر خورده، عقربم زخمی است. گاوی که بر شاخش زمینم هست، دیوانه است. دلم این پای در گل مرکبم زخمی است. بی سر زمینم، کو زمین اندازه یک قبر. بی آسمانم، قرنها شد کوکبم زخمی است. کم رنگ شد آن مشق بابا آب یا نان داد. صفحه به صفحه خاک و خون شد، مکتبم زخمی است. در بین وجدانهای خفته، بین یک گله، شور و شعورم مرده و تاب و تبم زخمی است. زخمی است هرچی دارم از آغاز تا انجام. نامم، کلامم، خاطراتم، مذهبم زخمی است. Thank you very much. I really never believed that a ghazal could be this, beautifully translated, and at the same time can keep its own form, and it will be an English ghazal. So thank you very much. I'm really grateful for that.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Aviva and Suhrab. I was just so moved. I sort of had butterflies, and it was so beautiful. Really, I loved it. So thank you very much. And now we'll move on to our next panel.
Thanks. Okay.
How can I?
Could we
So we need
the space?
everyone to leave the